John Heilemann is the managing editor of Bloomberg Politics. Welcome.
Hello.
Hello.
Happy almost holidays, guys.
Right.
Good morning.
I assume you all have
there.
magnificent plans coming up soon.
Let's talk about Vladimir Putin and these reports.
Yes.
Is there going to be increasing pressure, political pressure, on the President Obama to respond in a strong way?
Well, in terms of, I think there are two different kinds of pressure, right? The first question is going to be about how to investigate this, and there's already, you can see the way in which this debate is lining up with the question of whether there should be a congressional inquiry on a bipartisan basis or whether you should go to a more of a 9/11 commission kind of model. A lot of Democrats want to do that. A lot of Republicans in control of Congress want to do the investigation in Congress. So there's a risk that
But the White House investigation is underway right now.
White House investigation
and will come out before the president leaves office.
It will, and there's also the question of whether there should be a response. And that has obviously been, you remember Joe Biden, when the first reports of this came out back in October, Joe Biden threatened the notion that there could be some kind of a response, whether that was a cyber response or some other kind of response. And I think if beyond news reports, if there become more credible reports from this investigation that Putin, for example, was directly involved in this, I think there's going to be a very strong national security case being made by many people that something needs to be done about this, as opposed to just looking for the truth of the story, which is important on its own.
What can be done, John? Suppose everything is true, that he was involved, that he knew about it. What can be done? Well, what does it change?
Well, the United States engages in cyber warfare also, and has engaged in cyber warfare against a variety of states in the past. One of the pieces of thinking that's always been the case in this area is that you could strike back against Russia, against Putin personally, against his assets, exposing information about Putin and his holdings, much of which is as shrouded in mystery as Donald Trump's financial assets. You could do that if you were of that mind. I'm not saying that I think that's the right thing to do, but it's certainly an option on the table that has been considered and would be considered in the future, I think.
I guess the more interesting question to me is, the most interesting was, why would Putin want Trump as president? And what are the implications of that? And how does that affect who his Secretary of State is? Does it make it more or less likely that Rex Tillerson?
Those are really large questions, and they're saying quickly in my ear. Vladimir Putin has always had bad feelings about Hillary Clinton because of the fact that she was one of the leaders of sanctions against Russia after the Crimea invasion. Donald Trump has always made more conciliatory noises towards Russia and towards Putin than Clinton did. You can imagine why there was a policy preference there on the basis of what their stated positions were. How that plays into the Tillerson nomination, it's going to be a huge question. The Tillerson confirmation hearings, I think, are almost going to be exclusively about this issue.
It's a good debate to have.
And Nora's question is going to be, I think, the central question of that confirmation hearing.
John, you did it very quickly and very succinctly, very nicely.
What did Donald know and when did he know it?
Yes. And what did Vladimir know and when did he know it?
Thank you so much.
And what's going on with Donald Trump and Kanye West? I know we got
that is another large question. That's more complicated than anything else you've talked about, Gail.
All right.
Thank you.